Meredith Alloway. Screenwriter, Lily Houghton. The Fruits, Lily Reinhardt. Lola Tom. Victoria Pedretti. Alexander Schiff. And producers, Trin Hubbard, Diablo Cody, and Mason Novak. That was pretty fucking awesome, right? Okay. I just have to get into mode. I put a skirt on. So, what's the visual North Star that you kind of kept returning to? Obviously, this is a really distinct style and look and tone you were going for. What was kind of making sure you stayed in the forbidden fruit zone?
Yeah, our cinematographer, Kareem Hussein, also, this is insane. Wow, hi guys. You've been the best audience, I'm so grateful. Kareem Hussein, our amazing cinematographer, and I talked a lot about sort of the duality in the movie, and we watched a lot of giallo films, actually, films in the late 60s, Mario Bava, because I was having a hard time. We all know you go on film grab, or, you try to, get a still, and you're like, this, and I was like not finding feminine, eerie movies. And then I found movies in the 60s, like the, Bava films, and that was a North Star, on top of Justine Kurland as a photographer that Lily and I really fell in love with early on, Nan Golden, these photographers that photograph women in a very raw, real way. And I didn't want to shy away from the grittiness of them all. We all know how, dressing room lighting is terrible. What's going on? What's going on with that? And I was like, I really need to embrace that.
I do really love that. And then, when y'all were working together, obviously you ended up with this title. It's very biblical and has the mythological subtext. Can you talk about how you wanted to subvert the traditional idea of temptation in the script?
Oh, you.
Oh God, hi. I'm a playwright, so this isn't my usual thing. Well, the play started really from a place of, I was working at a unnamed retail store. I'm sure you could never guess which one. I just graduated from college, and I just kind of gone through, my dad had died, and I was going through this really weird grieving process, but in this basement, this windowless basement, with just a bunch of fairy lights and a Haim song playing on repeat. And it really was just what happened if the world ended upstairs and it was just me and these women. And that was where the play came from. And this idea of we've been blamed for this thing, but actually maybe we could try to create, what would happen is we would try to create this space, but not be given the resources to do so. So I think that's sort of where the play started from, and when Meredith came onto that, you really saw that the play, if you saw Lily's t-shirt, was a very long Bible quote that comes from the Garden of Eden. I don't even know the Bible quote, Meredith knows it better than me now. But yeah, I think that the sort of Garden of Eden story stayed in the script and in the movie.
What it means for women, to this word temptation, to be told we are the temptation.
Yeah.
Lily and all of these amazing women have talked a lot about in the press tour this weekend, being told from a young age that, you're tempting, cover up, don't be feminine, don't be tempting to other people. And it creates a psychosis in you, and I think we're kind of exploring what that does to women in the movie.
Definitely. Okay, so obviously the chemistry between these fruits is electric. How much of that those character dynamics were on the page versus how much when you cast and they got to actually be together on set?
I can let you guys speak to this. I just have to say I was, such a fan of all of you, and Lily was involved in the casting process, and we got to meet all of you. We live in this world where it's offer only, and we were we want to meet you guys, and that was really helpful to be oh, we see how they would bring their own self to the characters. But you guys really answered that better than I could. Yeah, about what you sort of brought to what was on the page.
Well, we were fortunate enough to have been given a fucking great script. So it was all already in there. like each woman was so specific already, and so they're just like real people when you read the script. So we just had to bring our own little flares to our respective roles. But it was the most collaborative set I've ever been on in terms of you both being so receptive to. I walked into my Zoom and I was like, Apple has red hair and 2 short nails. Is that cool? But I didn't have the role yet. I was just like, that's what I would like for her to be. And then I just sort of presented who I thought she was, and then I hopped off the Zoom and said, I hope they like me, and then they cast me.
We said, we're terrified, we love it.
For Lily and Victoria, both of you have strong roots in genre. Can you talk about how Forbidden Fruits leans into those tropes, or perhaps like flips them on their head and was a different experience from the others?
It was a wildly different experience than any production I've ever been on. I think starting from the conversations that we had early on, Lily and I were attached to this film for quite a few years before we had the chance to make it. But yeah, I would say I've never been on a set where I had so much fun. Meredith was really, I think, celebrated each one of us and what we were bringing to the film, and had a lot of trust in us and our choices and our collaboration with Sarah Millman, our costume designer. And
Who's here?
Wearing costumes for the movie.
Yeah, I did my own makeup for the film. Like we were able to put so much of ourselves into this film, and so creatively it was just like on another level. Yeah, it was outside of even talking about genre. It was a very unique experience.
Lola, obviously this is a very different energy from The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I love for you. Can you talk about what it felt like kind of shifting into this different world that was maybe like a little more dangerous vibe?
I mean, I don't know, Cousins is pretty dangerous. It was really fun. I was, even first meeting with Meredith and Lily, like, I was just grateful that they even saw me in this world at all, and it was a blast to do something completely different, because I think that's the fun part about being an actor, and to be surrounded by such amazing, wonderful, talented women that I, continue to be in awe of is just like the best ever. So yeah, it was really, really fun.
It's like, I wish I was there for this.
Forbidden Fruits 2, Claudia.
I'll just visit, I'll bring all snacks. Alexandra, your character I feel like feels a little bit like the glue. She's kind of like holding the group together. She's, trying to keep it working. Can you talk about how you approached finding that space in a group of 5 women? I feel like if you're a woman, you may have an understanding of what it's like to keep everybody on the same page if you've ever taken a girls trip or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, Fig is codependent. For sure, she's working on it. But I mean, it was very much so there on the page, but to be able to kind of find it with these incredible women and to kind of play off of each other. I think there's I think Fig kind of allows the audience to have a voice a lot of the time, where she's like, this is really fucked up, right? Like, we shouldn't be doing this. And I think that when she finally gets to that point, it's because she had filled in so many cracks for so long that she was just like, all right, burn it down, let's just go.
Yeah. Can't do this anymore. For the whole group, did y'all do any specific like bonding things or anything you did that happened off camera that like helped solidify the bond of the group?
Shooting for 12 hours every night at a mall, well, just dark, empty mall, and we were like very much, tired.
We showed up to work at 8
delirious.
p.m. and then we went home at 9 a.m.
Yeah,
Lola
everybody's going to
loves
work.
socks.
I love socks, that's true, yes. I did some shopping in the mall when we were there during the day. But yeah, I think it was just like inevitable bonding at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, hey, what's your life story? Which was super fun, I think.
Unique experience to be in the mall. For producers, for Trent, Mason, and Diablo, Mason and Diablo, what was it about Forbidden Fruits that felt like it had this specific kind of like DNA of a cult classic that like maybe what brought you into it?
May I? I mean, for me, it was like a big duh. Like, if you have any familiarity with the kind of projects that I like to attach myself to, and like what I'm into, and what I like, and what I vibe with, like this was like an explosion of that. Like, you can only imagine my enthusiasm and excitement when Meredith and Lily came to me, and Mason and I were on the same page immediately. I mean, I think after our first Zoom, we hung up and we're like, we're doing this, right? Like, zero discussion.
I love when things feel like that.
Yeah.
And can we just bow down to Diablo for a
Stop.
second? Everybody always says don't be your heroes. And Lily and Meredith from the jump was that we all were like, Diablo is going to brand this movie in the perfect way. And she is so incredible as a champion partner and supporter. And we wouldn't be, you paved the way for this to happen. And
Thank you,
just,
Trent. I'm gonna cry now.
And Trent, for you, obviously producing a film where you're up all night every night in the mall, and this many high-profile, amazing, badass leads with this much style, it's a big undertaking. Can you talk about what felt like the biggest logistical win or something that you're like, we pulled it off?
I mean, truly, it was a dream. It was a lot of hard work, but when you have a cast that is this incredible, but like Lily, when I first started working with her, I read every piece of material she ever wrote, and I was just like, who is this brilliant mind who's writing these words? Because I read every single one of her plays, every screenplay she wrote, and I was just like, I have to meet with her. And as soon as they did, it just was game over. She's so unbelievable, one-on-one, and then Meredith coming in, and we're both from Dallas, so doing this movie, Meredith is unbelievable with creating these worlds and bringing people in and allowing people to take that part of the world with you, and she just can operate in every type of genre, and I think that that's what's so unique about Meredith, is that she builds worlds completely and invites the audiences in to participate, and she invited all of these, cast every one of these actresses in your movies if there's producers out there, because I've never had so much fun in my life. It was the time of my life, 10 out of 10. After we did the first Paradise, there was a blood red moon out in the sky, and we all just started like sobbing, and it truly was, this is what the dream is when they say you can make a movie and just have a blast doing it. It's hard work, and I can't believe we're here, but you all made this just like truly indescribable and perfect. Thank you, Mason, too. Love you.
And logistically, we shot at the same mall as Mean Girls, and we rebuilt the fountain.
The fashion and the looks in this film, obviously everybody's already talking about them online. After this, there'll be even more. Can you talk more about how the costume and all the production design elements helped to fill out this forbidden world?
Yeah, our costume designer, we already shouted out Sarah Millman. She's a brilliant human collaborator, and Kara Vernon and her entire SECDEC team, our props master Steph, Jeff, who's the mastermind behind our set deck, they really they appreciated detail. And I think the amazing thing is we've been doing press is people notice little, things that people are wearing, or they notice that in the mirrors, it says like live, which is also evil, and like mood, which is also doom. Like we really didn't leave a stone unturned, and I think, I mean, the cast can kind of speak to their collaboration with Sarah even more than I can, but like there were a lot of mood boards, there were a lot of like, how do we make this feel like when the cast walked into Paradise for the first time, that it felt like a sleepover, like your favorite sleepover, and you wanted to be out, when you put in the costumes, you want to see these girls out at the mall, you want to be like, I want to be a part of that coven, but it's still a mall, and they're still working at a free Eden store, so it was again that duality, but you guys can probably speak more to it than I can. Anybody?
I mean, yeah, I think it was really important for all of us to make sure that our characters were individuals. They were completely themselves and yet all a part of the same ecosystem, right? So it was so much fun working with Sarah because we would send so many Pinterest boards and so many group chats, and it was like, I was like, all right, Rick Owens, but at the mall. And I'm like, what is that? And then I show up and we get to make all of these really fun, cool wardrobes and outfits, and it's just the minute, there's nothing like getting into your costume and you have your hair and makeup on and you walk on the set and it's like free Eden and you're like, oh, I'm fucking Fig right now. I'm so Fig, it's not even funny.
You got into this. I like the vibes. Meredith, I feel like there's parts of the film that feel a little fever dream vibe. Can you talk about, did you collaborate with your editor a lot on finding that right, like pacing and pulse for the film?
Thank you for asking an editing question. Hannah is
Editors work very hard.
Yeah, as I was watching it back in front of an audience, I was like, Hannah is amazing. You are amazing, Hannah. We laughed a lot. We really, again, left no stone unturned. We were like, we want every single moment to be locking in. And I think, Hannah, she edited Shiva Baby and Bottoms, and she's so good at comedy beats. And I was like, she's the person to edit this because I think she's gonna help me with that, to be quite honest. And also something that we really worked on is like, how do you build the dread? Like, it's tricky, right? Like, it was such a joy to see people, hopefully you guys enjoyed the kills at the end. But it takes a long time to get there. And so we really worked to be like, how do we keep the dread going? How do we do the X-Acto knife moment? How do we hint at the dad story without giving anything away? It was tricky, but I think we had a lot of fun. I feel like we always followed the giggle. Like, I was like, if it makes us giggle, let's go that way,
I love that. And also, props to you for wanting to work with someone you thought could help elevate you. And I feel like people don't always do that. They don't always do it though, and they don't always have as much fun making a movie as it seems like that y'all did. Okay, now I have a challenge for you. Ready? Describe the forbidden fruit of this movie in one word. Like, what is the one thing that your character or these characters are most hungry for?
We each go down the line?
Yeah, just
Okay, I'm so glad I'm first. Sisterhood.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or connection.
Control.
How do I say, is my sister, did she kill my dad?
she wanted the truth.
Answer the truth. The truth.
I think the ability to save someone. In one word, save.
I think acceptance. They wanted to be accepted.
They want their eye by eye.
I think agency.
Also sisterhood.